Hi, everybody. I'm Olivia F. Scott, Associate Professor of Advertising here at Loyola University, New Orleans, founder of Omerge Alliance's marketing consultancy, and best of all, host of Behind the Ad, where we peel the layers of the media, advertising, and marketing onion back to demystify the industry for you. Today's discussion centers around two vital aspects of public relations that hold significance in the world of hospitality: brand perception and community relations. Our guest today, whose insights are invaluable in this context, is a seasoned PR professional with a decade-long track record spanning media relations, community engagement, communications, and social media. Her achievements in securing national recognition for her clients in publications like Condé Nast Traveler and USA Today and more speak to her prowess. Furthermore, her adaptability and leadership in steering communications through challenging times have positioned her as a guiding light in the industry. Without further ado, welcome with me, if you please, Director of Public Relations at Four Seasons Hotel and Resorts in New Orleans, Vicki Bristol. Vicki, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a joy. I love your energy, and I'm so glad you made time. I know you're very busy running things over at the Four Seasons
Yes,
New Orleans.
often busy, but always have time to come back to Loyola.
Yay!
Yes.
What are you sharing your year?
Sure, why not? I graduated in 2009 from the communications program.
Okay, we're here for
Full
that.
pack, yeah.
Wonderful. So for all of our students watching, you can get great jobs like Vicki.
Oh, yeah. It definitely set me up for success coming here.
Great. Wonderful. So when I get into it, so you lead PR for one of the nation's leading luxury hospitality brands, Four Seasons, as we all know, here in New Orleans. Four Seasons is known for its commitment to luxury and exceptional guest experiences. How does PR play a role in maintaining and promoting this image, especially in the context of your work in New Orleans?
Definitely. Well, let me backtrack a little bit, too. I want to talk about this. So, been in New Orleans my whole life. I was raised on the North Shore.
Okay.
Came over here to go to Loyola. And then worked in a variety of different hospitality and tourism agencies, as well as at the CVB. And then when Four Seasons announced their opening, as a New Orleanian, I was like, this is such a big deal, right? To have a luxury brand come into the city. It felt like we were being put on the map.
Okay.
We know we have something special here. And so now that I'm in this role, which was like a job dream come true, it's like, how do we maintain that luxury perception in a city that isn't as used to having luxury, right? If you compare us to other cities like New York, LA, even Houston and Dallas, when you go down their major like shopping streets, you see tons of designer brands and several other like luxury brands in that area. Whereas New Orleans, we still are playing a smaller league there when it comes to that. But we know we have something so rich.
Yeah.
We know our culture is original and authentic and something you can't find anywhere else. So how do we take that and then we deliver it with a luxury lens to bring in that specific type of traveler? So for me, that was a bit of a learning curve when I first started.
Because where'd you come from?
So I was at New Orleans CVB before the pandemic.
Okay.
During the pandemic, spent a little time doing some educational communications.
Yes.
And then was happy to get back into hospitality.
Yes.
But so, the way that we do that in our role at Four Seasons is that the perception, I feel like, is almost equal. Well, of course, as a PR director, so I feel like it's almost equal to the actual service that we're giving, right? So the perception is what helps people first time be attracted to the brand. For the first time they may ever stay at a Four Seasons, they're attracted to the perception of it, and then once they stay, they feel the warmth of our service, the attentiveness of the service, the attention to detail, and then that's what makes them brand loyal and book from again and again and again.
Okay.
So in my role to help maintain that perception, it's working with luxury media outlets. So looking at who that might be, whether it's elite traveler, modern luxury, departures, so different, more luxury-focused magazines and publications to get those stories written in there. And doing a lot around the authentic guest experience. So what is it that sets Four Seasons apart from other hotel brands? And I like to think, or I know that it's the attention that we give to each individual guest and the way we're able to customize and personalize those stays. And the reason that's so important is I was thinking about it on my drive here is that, there's one thing that we all have and that we're all one thing that we all have equal of, and that's time, right? Not everybody may be at the same point in their career. Not everybody may have the same disposable income to go on vacations.
Correct.
But the one thing that we're all limited by, with only having 24 hours in a day and 365 days in a year, is time.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
And so looking at the luxury market, and that is one thing that money can't buy. It can't. And so making the most out of that vacation time or that business trip or the time that you're away, I think that's what's really setting luxury apart, is that we recognize like how important that time is to everyone, and then how we utilize that time. And so while you're out of stay with us, we try to make it as effortless as possible. So you're not having to worry about the logistics of getting from here to there, or calling down one more time for something from the front desk. Like making sure that everything is provided, because your time, I mean, that's probably the most important thing to you.
Speaking of your time, thank you so much, Vicki. Speaking of your time, what do you do on a day-to-day basis, right? For anybody who's like, I want to be in PR, you know, you're in a field, and especially in the role of Four Seasons, in the role at Four Seasons, you have a very coveted position at a brand that people would love to be working at. So what do you do every day? If you gave us a day in the life of what you're doing, I mean, I heard a little bit before that you are working directly, strategically with luxury media brands. You're not calling the local TV station trying to get them to come down to cover you. You're doing more luxury, right? But what are you doing on a daily basis?
Okay, well, I'll just tell you about my day today, and you're probably going to laugh at like the gauntlet of things that I've done.
Please.
So started off the morning, we're redesigning some of our guest amenities for celebrations. So how do you elevate that? You know, besides it's just being chocolate-covered strawberries in a room. So I was literally in a guest suite this morning with gigantic, like this big, like latex clear balloons, and then going through ribbon colors to be which one looks the most elegant, which champagne do we have, you know, served alongside this. So it's all of that attention to detail. And as the PR director, knowing people are going to Instagram this, you know, this is going to be pitched out to media as one of those like over-the-top amenities. So how do we make it look bespoke? So that was one project I worked on. Then went back to my desk and did some writing, because we're doing this Spa Cabana package throughout October, and I needed to get the press release out for that. So then, you know, the standard PR press release writing, but making sure that the wording is very like attractive and on brand. Spent time meeting with our restaurant manager about some new menu items they have coming up, as well as our festive Fridays. It just runs the gauntlet of things we're involved in, from, you know, being inside at the hotel and positioning for the guests, but then also in the community. So had a call with Boys Hope, Girls Hope today, because our restaurant is going to do a table at one of their events coming up.
Nice.
And so how can we get further involved in that? So it's not just us showing up, you know, and serving our food, but is it a way that we can participate in the silent auction as well, and like really make an impact in the community, and working those relationships too. So it's across the board, from like hanging balloons to like writing to getting, you know, doing community relations.
Question for you. Before we go deeply into community relations, you just mentioned social media. You're a luxury brand, and you definitely appeal and attract to a specific caliber, if you will, class of people, I would imagine, because it's so expensive, right? I know I can't afford going, right? We talked about this. So can you tell us how much does social media play a part in your PR strategy? And the reason why I'm asking in that way, like genuinely, is are these the type of people that are like, hey, I'm at Four Seasons New Orleans, check me out, hashtag, you know, fun, hashtag New Orleans. Do you see that social media is a big part of what you're doing, your PR?
Social media is a big part of everybody's life now. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from.
Okay.
Right? So yes, 100%.
Okay.
We know that our rooms are going to get Instagrammed, and honestly, sometimes more so, because people want to show off and say, look at where I'm staying.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We're fortunate that our hotel is relatively new. We just opened 2 years ago, so the room product's absolutely beautiful, so I don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
But
Nice.
it's all those little touches. Yes.
Okay, so it's a big
Yes.
part. I was just curious about that. I'm like, is social media even a part? Like, we know that for the masses, social media is everything, but I was just curious about that for Four Seasons. So,
Even in the luxury market, yes.
okay. So now you're in New Orleans, right? And you have this rich culture here, and you've got this fancy smancy hotel that descends upon this beautiful, rich but not an overly luxury market. So, how do you balance leveraging the culture and community of New Orleans and New Orleanians in a way that drives your business goals, but also has respect for the culture and the people of the city?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's actually very poignant for a project that we're working on right now. We have a big conference coming to the hotel in November where a lot of our counterparts from Four Seasons around the globe will be coming in. And for many of them, this is their first time to New Orleans.
Okay.
They've traveled to Four Seasons time and time again, but never to New Orleans. And we just feel like we have such a gold mine here of character and personality and culture to showcase. How do we do that without taking advantage of the destination?
Correct.
So we've had a lot of thoughtful conversations around musicians that we select to perform at different events, ensuring that we have local musicians or musicians who are, giving back to the local community in some way. Maybe they weren't born here, but they're an integral part of our local community. Identifying those first to work with them, ensuring that, we're paying and benefiting, those local culture bearers.
Yes.
To the caliber that they deserve, and that they're worth, because they are the backbone. I mean, without the musicians on Royal Street, without our amazing chefs, without just the people with the joie de vivre that they have, dancing in the streets, like that's the selling point for the city. It's the destination. It's the people and the culture here. So it's being very thoughtful in the partners that we work with, the artists that we bring in. And then there's other little local touches that we're working to bring into the program, even using some of our team members. So they may not be super happy about this, but one idea that we're brainstorming is like in our opening session, we know there's so much talent, just innate, like, and the people are here. Everybody played in high school band, or they're an artist, or they mask as a Mardi Gras Indian, or something that's truly unique to New Orleans. How do we bring those team members into our opening session and kind of showcase them of like, this is not, it's not just a single artist that you're hiring from an agent in town. Like this is the lifeblood of the community. Like these are our employees.
What brand perception do you strive for Four Seasons to own in the mind of local citizens of New Orleans as well as tourists?
Right. So for locals, I would like for them to look at Four Seasons and say that we are raising the bar for luxury in the city and attracting in that luxury market that benefits the entire economy, the tourism economy. We know that there's more than 80,000 people who work in tourism in the city. And so we want to be viewed as a key player and stakeholder in bringing in that dollar, that spend.
Okay.
And then also to be a community player. We're doing a lot to give back to local charities in ways that we can. Working with local schools to help educate on careers in hospitality.
Nice.
So the hope is that they really feel that Four Seasons isn't a brand who's just come in and like imprinted themselves, that we're part of the fabric of the city.
Nice.
Is my hope through the work that we're doing. And for tourists coming in to Four Seasons, I want them to view us as their, I guess, how do I say this? For tourists coming in to New Orleans, I want them to look at Four Seasons as their gateway to really unlock the community and unlock the city. Nice. They may come in with their own perceptions of New Orleans, and then they'll work with our concierge and with our team to peel back that layer a bit deeper and understand the real heartbeat of the city. Taking them out to the sculpture garden at Noma, or recommending our favorite spots for shopping along Magazine Street. So peeling it back another layer.
And being curators for the culture.
Curating it, yes, exactly.
Are there any notable PR campaigns or initiatives that you have spearheaded or been a part of that have really had significant impact on the hotel's brand perception here in New Orleans?
I mean, the biggest one would just be our opening, to be honest. Like, we just opened 2 years ago, and it was in the middle of the pandemic. We were still dealing with, like, the Delta 9 wave at that point. It was summer of 2021, and made the strategic decision to go ahead and open because there was such a clamor from the local community to get inside, to see what happened with the World Trade Center. It's a historic, iconic building, to see the renovations, and also to have an opportunity to celebrate something again after so long.
Right.
So through that campaign, we invited in several key stakeholders for pre-tours and for the opening day to join in those festivities. Lots of influencers to be posting on social media. I remember the first month that we opened, one of the best compliments I got from a friend was, he had texted me. He's like, everyone I know on social media is at Chandelier Bar right now. And I was like, exactly. I was like, and that's what I want. That's what I want. I want it to be a place where the community comes and hangs out, and that they really feel like Chandelier Bar is their bar and not just for hotel guests. So that was part of that too. Yeah.
Do you have special programming at Chandelier Bar?
We do.
Different artists that come, and how does this work? Tell us.
We do. We have live music every Thursday.
Okay. Helpful to know.
Yes.
I can just roll up?
You can just roll up.
Okay.
No reservations needed.
Okay.
We rotate through musicians, but most frequently it's Brandon Lewis, who I adore, who's also a member of Preservation Hall Jazz Band.
Nice.
And he'll be out there. And then we do a variety of different drink specials.
If I ever were to have a big occasion and I'm a local New Orleanian, maybe I would consider going to the Four Seasons because that special touch that you're giving.
Absolutely. Locals are our biggest clients for our event spaces.
Okay.
When you're thinking about, meetings coming to town, but like for annual retreats, for board meetings, for galas.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense.
We welcome the locals in.
Last question for you. How do you approach crisis communications at Four Seasons New Orleans? Have you ever had a situation where you've had a crisis in the city that you've had to somehow protect your brand from and not get overly involved in like the negativity around it to kind of maintain a positive brand perception for Four Seasons?
Right. Well, Four Seasons, the company itself, was founded upon the golden rule: to do unto others as you wish to be treated.
Okay.
And it's not just a PR line. Like, that's actually how everybody within the company lives and breathes. And so when approaching like a situation that could have an impact on guests, first we try to infuse it with empathy and think, how is it that we would want to be treated in this situation?
Okay.
More often than not, it's a situation outside of our control. It's weather related. It's in the hands of the city. But that doesn't mean we just push it off. We still need to treat the guests with empathy, and share as much as we can. Also, graduating from a Jesuit university here, being guided by that, Ephesians 4:15 says that we are commanded to tell the truth with love. And that is something that I abide by, and I'm proud of my employer that they stick with me on that we always tell the truth with love.
Okay.
And so that's giving the information that we have, whether or not it's within our control, being as transparent as we can and being as empathetic as we can, knowing that this may cause concerns for people. They might be scared. They might be worried if their trip is going to happen, Correct. So that's how we approach it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You are the first guest at this wonderful Jesuit University's podcast to share with us a Bible verse. And it's so welcome here at Jesuit University. So thank you so much.
You're
welcome. Ephesians 4:15. I need to do that with my own life. So thank you so much for joining us today, Vicki. For everyone at home, we hope that you learned something today about luxury PR, and we also hope that you consider going to the Four Seasons New Orleans when you come here to New Orleans. And if you're not visiting and you're local like me or a student here, you can just roll up to the Chandelier Bar on Thursday. She said so. We have an open invitation. See you soon. Thanks so much for joining us for this edition of Behind the Ad.